Hi everybody, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, in sort of a surprising move, NCL is canceling a bunch of cruises and getting rid of two of fan favorite cruise ships. We have a brand new cruise ship just arrived in Miami that a lot of people are pretty excited about. Carnival Cruise Line just announced all those changes yesterday, and some surprising results. You might be surprised when John Hill posted which of these announcements were you most excited about. And I think the ones that they thought were going to be the most excited, people were less thrilled about than the others. Let's just put it that way. And then some good news finally coming from Juneau, Alaska, where they have finally approved something. Even though there's been controversy about cutting back the cruise ships, they're expanding. So we have some news from Norwegian Cruise Line. Now remember, just about 2 months ago or so, the people with Norwegian were doing their, money call to all the investors and everything, and they were asked about their older ships. And they said, hey, look, our ships can go, 30 years, no problem. We think they can go 35 years with no problem whatsoever, with all the proper maintenance and everything. We have no plans to get rid of our older ships. Well, that was until today, because now they have just sold off the NCL Sky and the NCL Sun, both of which are older ships, about 25 years old between them. They're 1 year apart, I believe, and they're smaller ships, right? They both hold under 2,000 passengers. They both are about 850 feet, and you compare that, if they're 80, I think they're 77,000 gross metric tons in size. Compare that with the new ships that they're announcing at 220,000 gross tons, right? A significant difference in size comparison, almost 4 times the size of these ships. So a lot of people will be upset because we're losing some smaller ships in the fleet because of, I guess, don't forget, they have all these new ships coming online, bam, 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 one after another, right? We have 2 XL class ships coming. We have 2 more of the Ace ships coming, etc. So they're bringing in the larger ships, but those smaller ships are disappearing, and that is going to hurt a lot of fan favorites who love the smaller ships, the more intimate setting. If you did have a voyage with them that happens to be being canceled, they will be issuing full refunds within the next 30 days, and they're also going to give you a bonus of a 10% future cruise credit to use before the end of next year in order to, compensate you for this. They're not canceling it until 2026 for the earliest sailings, so just over a year away from when your first sailing would have been from the canceled cruises. But disappointing news if you're a fan of those cruise ships. Next, let's talk about Juneau. Juneau has just authorized a 5th cruise bay, right? A 5th cruise dock terminal for Juneau, Alaska. And even though Juneau has had people trying to say, let's limit our cruise ships, let's, Saturday, no cruise ships Saturdays or 4th of July, and they both failed. And now they have agreed to build another cruise port there that will hold more ships in Juneau. I don't think they really know what they want right now going on in Juneau, Alaska myself. A good news story coming also is the brand new MSC World America has finally arrived in Miami, getting ready to go to the brand new cruise port that they just officially opened earlier this week. And so, yeah, not only is the biggest MSC cruise ship going to be sailing from Miami at the world's largest cruise terminal as well, a lot of people are pretty excited about this ship. It is a giant ship with a lot of neat features on it, and if you're a yacht club member, you're probably going to be spoiled rotten. So you might want to check out MSC as they're growing exponentially in North America. yesterday we talked about all the new things that Carnival Cruise Line is announcing, right? They announced their 2 new XL class ships that are being launched, the Festival, right? And they also talked about the money that they're going to be spending updating all their ships and modernizing them, spending, tons of money on board. They talked about, Celebration Key opening in 3 months or so, plus all the other home ports and like the cruise destinations like Mahogany Bay that they're going to be going and updating and spending money on. And they talked about all these different things. And then John Hill put a post up on his Facebook page asking, which of these are you most excited about? And I think the results might have surprised Carnival, and maybe not in the way that they were hoping. The number one thing that people were excited about was the money they're investing on their current ships, in modernizing their ships, their older ships, getting them, faster to fun 3.0, if you will, perhaps, right? Just updating them, getting them fresher, new dining experiences, things like that. They were really, really excited about that. Most people voted in favor of that. Then they also said they were very excited about the private islands, Celebration Key, updating Mahogany Bay, spending money on these, new pools and new dining and bigger beaches and more room to spread out. People were looking forward to that. They are very, very excited about all that kind of situation, which is good news. That's what they want. They want Celebration Key to be a big hit. They want people to think of that as a destination. We want to go there on our trip, like people do with Royal Caribbean. When Perfect Day at Coco Cay opened up, people said, that's my destination. In fact, some cruises only go to Perfect Day. That's, the short cruises. That's where we're going, and then we're coming back. Carnival's hoping Celebration Key has the same effect on their loyal fan base. But the actual least favorite thing that was announced out of everybody, got the fewest votes, most people were hardly interested in it all, was the new ships. The new XL classes coming. The new ACE projects, even larger ships coming. Now, it could be because they seem far off, right? 2027, 2028, and then the next ACE class ship in 2029 and beyond. So it's still a ways away. We're talking 3-4 years before we start to see these ships. That might be the reason that people are not as excited about the other changes that may be coming. Celebration Keys opening up 3 months from now. New money being spent on, in dry dock to refurbish your ships and put new stuff on. That's going to be happening right away as they're doing dry dock. But those ships are coming later. But I think they were hoping that people would be a lot more excited about the new ships. But what might be turning people off is, again, the size. The size of the ships. As I just announced, Norwegian is now getting rid of 2 of their smaller ships. And people are saying, how long before Carnival is getting rid of their smaller ships? And now we're seeing these large ships coming online. I think probably within the next year or so, you're going to see those smaller ships start to go bye-bye on Carnival, which will leave a lot more smaller vessels out of the ultra-luxury market. You can get on those, right? No problem. But yeah, the main cruise lines, smaller ships, I think they're becoming a thing of the past. Let's hope that Royal Caribbean announces soon their next smaller ship. And their next smaller ship isn't the size of a Quantum class ship, right? We want smaller ships, 2,500, 3,000 max. That would be a nice change. And then having a lot more people have a lot more choice. Let me know in the comments down below. Were you excited by any of those announcements? Are you sad to see smaller ships seem to be disappearing now and replaced with mega ships by the cruise lines? Of course it makes financial sense for them, but does it make it fan sense? if you know what I mean. Let me know in the comments down below, and until next time, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.